tuning in. Today, this is Truth with Dr. Dara. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the media about sexual abuse and assault and whether people are reporting and whether people are not reporting. And I would like to talk with that. I've had some really great feedback. Thank you so much to everyone for your responses, your emails, your correspondences with your questions and your inquiry and your interest and wanting to know what to do when you are affected by sexual assault, what it is going on for people psychologically when they are or have experienced sexual trauma or assault. And today I would like to address some of those questions. So I see that some of you are joining in, and if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in and I'll be able to answer them. I thought I would start off first with answering a question that was submitted to me this week, and that was why people don't report. And as a woman and a mom, a psychologist and a wife, it becomes very clear to me, but yet it's still very unclear to many people in our culture and society. People do not report because they're scared. People are scared and they don't report. They're scared of what the repercussions will be. They are scared people won't believe them. They're scared that people won't take them seriously. And they're also scared that nothing will be done with the information if they do report, which is really a hard thing. It's not even the trauma that's so traumatic for people. It's the actual aftermath that goes on for them. Just reporting in itself is a horrifying experience. If anybody has ever experienced sexual assault, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. Going through the system is worse than the actual rape. I've got a question here, and it's how can we help someone overcome that fear of reporting? Well, Carol, I think it starts to happen right here, right now with advocating and speaking up. There are different places. There's a place called the Butterfly House in Jupiter where women can go if they have experienced a sexual trauma. And there, when they report it, right away they're given a new set of clothing and a place to shower. And the reporting process is much kinder and softer than showing up in an ER. And unfortunately, historically, when people were experiencing sexual assaults and rapes, often the kits weren't even being tested. And it was being determined at the time of incident whether it was a reported case that was truthful or not. But now it's mandated all raping kits get tested automatically. What is there for us to do is to encourage each other, to support each other, and continue to use our voices and stand for what is important to us. Because when somebody is experiencing a trauma, what's going on for them is that they're experiencing old, reliving the trauma that happened for them. I think we're back. I think we lost connection for a moment, but here we are. Also, why people don't report is similar to how we can help report, is the fact that people are scared and they're vulnerable, embarrassed, and shameful. Often women or men are thinking that it was their fault that the crime was committed, that the assault happens. They're thinking that they could have done something differently to prevent it. You know, even if a woman shows up and she is wearing no clothes and a man sexually is aggressive with her, it is not her fault. Not what we would advocate or think would be optimal, but still, it is not someone's fault when these types of things happen. And people are scared to report it because of the ridicule and what other people may think as far as that's happening. So thank you, Carol, for the question. And people are just scared that they won't be believed. And so what is our job as clinicians and society to encourage it so that things are not happening where people are continuing to experience trauma 20, 30, 40 years later. Another question that I've been asked is there different responses for people based on the type of trauma they've had? For example, whether somebody was raped or somebody was physically assaulted, will that affect them psychologically different? And really, it's bioindividuality. As something affects one person, it affects another person differently. So my interpretation or perception of it is going to be how it affects me. Because fear and anger is an emotional or physiological response to perceived threat. So how I experience it is going to be different than how someone else experiences. Just like when they do twin studies or they do studies with people in military. They have two people who have gone through the same exact experience, yet the aftermath of how each of them move forward is completely different. One could be having nightmares and jump every time they hear something loud, where the other one might just be completely unaffected and their mind reads it as something just happened and there's nothing that needs to be done. And that's the whole part with trauma, is that something gets stuck inside of somebody's mind. We're the only life form that attaches such meaning to things. Feelings of shame or feelings of guilt, or thinking that we could have done it any differently than how we've done it. I see a couple more people popping in saying, so hello out there to those of you who are just joining. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free just to type it in there in the side and I'll get to it as well as I can. So we were just kind of talking about, number one, why people don't report sexual crime and traumas that do happen for them. And also, does it affect people differently? And based on the type of assault, whether they had it. You know, if somebody was raped, are they going to have more severe post-traumatic stress disorder than somebody who is physically assaulted? And once again, it's bio-individuality. It depends on the person, and each person is going to endure it and have experiences different based on their perception of the trauma or the emotional responses that has happened for them. Another question I received this week is, can people move past trauma? And the answer is yes, they can. One of the things that stuck out for me in the report, even this week with Dr. Ford, was how she commented that she had gone to traditional therapy. And she stopped talking about it because every time she continued to talk about it, she was re-stimulating the trauma, which is very problematic for me, as it is for people going through therapy. In traditional therapy, that is something that often happens. When I'm working with clients, I work with rapid resolution therapy, where we can fast and efficiently and effectively shift where there's been negative emotion, and sometimes place it with positive emotion, and get it replaced with indifference. So we're letting mind know that nothing needs to be done. Because when people experience a traumatic event, what's going on is their mind is reading the old data as being current. It's like the tape recorder is just stuck, replaying it and replaying it over and over again. So once we let mind know, I saw a gentleman a few weeks ago, and he came to me because his wife was more distressed than he was, to the fact that when it was July 4th and they were going to the fireworks, every time he heard fireworks, he was having a response where his whole body started to shake. It was almost as he was in a fetal position, he explained to me. And this was a big burly guy, I must say. Well, he had been in Iraq a couple years prior. And so what his experience was happening is every time that his mind was hearing the fireworks, his mind was thinking that it was currently happening. So his mind was reading the old data as being current. And after working together for just a couple hours, we let mind know that there was nothing that needed to be done. I received a message from him just a couple days ago saying that they went to downtown Disney, and when there were the fireworks, nothing happened for him. He had a splendid time and it wasn't affected. In fact, he even giggled because he said to me that when he was with his wife, there was a car that backfired and his wife jumped and he didn't even respond. So now his mind knows that there's nothing that there is to do, because our minds think that we have to fix it or do something with it. And what was happening for him is that it wasn't that he was thinking that when it was going off, it was problematic. It was how he was thinking about it that was problematic. He was feeling guilty or shameful that he hadn't just gotten over it. And that's what a lot of assault victims describe to me as well. It's not that the assault wasn't bad enough. It's the fact that they're thinking that they should no longer have that distress going on, you know, intellectually. But what's going on for somebody is not at the level of consciousness. It's at the level of an unconsciousness. Just like when you are driving home and you miss the turn to your house, you're not consciously thinking that you're not going to get home. Where it's been going on is below the level. Or if you were to see somebody and they were listening to a Bluetooth and they start shaking it and they say that they want to change the song, they're not going to change the song at the Bluetooth. They're going to change the song at the phone. So that's the way our minds work, because people know pretty much what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And where the feelings are happening is not where they're feeling it. So how many of us have had someone say to us, just act a little happier, whether it's been a traumatic event that's happened or not, just act happy, and you listen to happy music and you do happy things, but it's not shifting because where it's been affected is at a deeper level. So another question that I've received this week as well has been around, is there a different, I'm sorry, oh, how people experience, like somebody who might be married said to me, well, I have been married for a long time and I went through many years of abuse, and I also was raped when I was 17 years old. And now I'm married, and when I'm intimate with my husband, I find it very difficult. Sometimes I can get through it, but then after we are intimate, he goes to sleep and I lay there crying. And she says she feels so sad and she feels so guilty. She wanted to know what she could do to move past some of those feelings so that she can feel greater connection with her partner. So my response to that is that there is help for that. And what's going on for her, first of all, is that she's not telling her partner what she's experiencing. As most people who have experienced sexual trauma, they don't report it. They don't tell anybody what's going on. So the first part of it is to begin to reporting. And as Carol asked, how do we encourage that? Well, by whether it's reporting it or letting other people know that are close to you what you're experiencing, it takes it from being stuck in here to putting it out there and creating a solution with it so that that can be cleared and mind can move forward. It's like a background music that's playing from behind getting stuck. If I had a television and I think that it's off, but it's always plugged in, it's using static. Or I'm sure all of us are familiar with our iPhones. When you have too many apps open and you receive new information, it's impossible to take in a download and everything gets stuck and it moves much slower. Well, that's the way that I think about how mind works, that often information is getting stuck because there's old information that's processing in the back. And that's what's going on for people when they've experienced sexual trauma or rape, physical abuse. And I want to repeat again that it's really about your perception. And it's not that you're perceiving whether it happened or it didn't happen, but each person integrates it into their mind and categorizes it differently. And the way that we store information, our minds are like cameras, where the way that pixels, when you take a picture, the light goes ahead and stores inside of it. So how each of us categorize it. Just like if I said to you, do you remember the name of your kindergarten teacher? Some of you would say, oh, right off the bat, and you would get it. For others of you, it would take quite some time and you may not even come up with that name. But your mind has put it in there, and based on necessity, it stores it how you need it. Hence why you'll hear people, do they repress memories? And if there's been repressed memories, can we bring them back up? Well, you're storing those memories because you're surviving. You're putting them there and needing them to come up when you want them. For a young woman, that emailed me, it was about, well, it's coming up for me when I'm having intimate connection with my husband, where it's supposed to be such a nice and natural part. Can I ever move through this? And again, the answer is yes. We just have to let mind know that there's nothing that's going on. And what's happening for her is that shame is re-stimulating that whole feeling that she was feeling during that sexual experience that was so unpleasant and awful, thinking that she was doing something wrong or shameful. So the first part of it would be talking with your partner and also seeing a rapid resolution therapist so that we can clearly and efficiently get that shifted in mind without bringing up and re-triggering and re-traumatizing it all over again. I just want to check in with you guys. I see a couple more questions up there. Just kind of asterisk and let me know which ones you want me to address first or second. Great, awesome. I see another one. Okay, so often people will say to me, well, what do I do? How do I move past this? What is it going to be like? Is something else going to re-traumatize me? And the answer is, what happens is that you're not re-traumatized again. When you do speak about it, you'll speak about it as if it's your story and it's not who you are, because the situation happened, but it's not your identity. So we shift that into it being the identity or something that happened and not for someone. You know, oftentimes when I'm working with people, they'll say to me, well, I just wish that that person was dead. And what comes out of the work that we're doing is that person later on doesn't even wish that person was that person. They wouldn't wish that on them, because really what's in the best interest of the world is for everybody's mind to be clear and to be moving forward and thinking in a way that's advantageous, and not continuing to entertain that stuckness that's happening where the data is replaying and replaying and replaying. As you guys know, I absolutely feel a lot of passion and mission on this topic as a woman, as a mom, as a psychologist, and being part of our community to continue to advocate for women for healing from sexual traumas, from physical traumas, from incest, from abuse. And it starts right here with us advocating and letting women know that there is help and there is healing, so nobody continues to suffer. I really thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to continuing to do this. You are always welcome to send me any emails on any topic to dara@drdara.com, and I will be happy to answer them. There's also a private group that I've started for my tribe, where it's a place that we can address some of these questions and have feedback as well. And you can link on my Facebook page, and you just press it and you join on in, and we can all connect in that way as well. But I thank all of you for tuning in, and I look forward to the next episode of Truth with Dr. Dara.